There is no hack for creativity. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tara East. I'm a writer, blogger, YouTuber, and the author of the mystery novel Every Time He Dies. And in this week's video, I want to talk about how we can start to reconnect with our creative self. Recently, I was a beta tester for Caroline Donahue's latest course called Maximum Juicy, alongside 200 other writers from all over the world. During one of the set tasks, Caroline asked us to please reflect on the last time we felt truly creative. My response was, yesterday. Most people's responses was, I haven't felt creative since I was 6 years old. I remember reading some of the responses from other participants and it felt like my stomach was just sinking into the seat beneath me. I was shocked by the volume of people who said they hadn't felt creative in years, and part of this was considering Caroline's particular platform, the title of the course, and the types of people that are sort of attracted to Caroline's work and her podcast. I sort of just expected most people to be more similar to me. I thought that most of the people in that course would actually be wildly creative and people who were constantly engaging with a creative practice, but they weren't. Far from it. Most of the participants said that they didn't feel like they had been creative since they were a kid, and most of them cited an age under the age of 10. A huge sector of the group were professionals, whether they were academics, editors, or teachers. Most of them were from their mid-30s to their mid-40s, and a hell of a lot of them were women. Their reason for their lack of creativity came down to work, family, kids, putting other people's needs before their own, and a sense of a lack of time. And this basically left me wondering, why had so many people suppressed their creativity, and how do they go about getting it back? Before we can address the latter, we must first unpack the former. It doesn't take a genius to realize that contemporary Western society doesn't value creativity. Here in Australia, at least, arts funding continues to get cut, which means that writing festivals, literary journals, theater and dance companies are constantly being stripped of the vital funds they need to survive. While the internet allows artists to connect directly with their audience, that audience expects all of their creative content to be free. As Lisa Mitchell sings, they figured it out, that we're gonna do it anyway, even if we don't get paid. Link below. Our perception of art and creativity as foolish and silly pursuits can be traced back to our schooling system, which prioritizes rote learning, memorization, and the obeying of rules, which is the exact opposite of creativity. So they're prioritizing all of this over the non-linear, questioning, critical, and outside-the-box thinking usually associated with creative practice. The intention of industrialized education is to produce workers which then keep the whole system churning. But a capitalist system also depends on the innovation of individuals to create new businesses, inventions, products, and systems. But how can this occur if people are incapable of thinking creatively? If consumers don't value art or creativity, then why would an artist respect or honor their own urge to create? Okay, so now that we know why we've neglected our creativity, let's get to the business of re-establishing this relationship. Now, connecting to your creative self feels a little new agey, even for me. So let's get into a little bit of a reframe, shall we? I'm going to go with improving your creativity. So improving your creativity really only comes down to two factors. You need time and effort. Now, don't freak out. You don't need a lot of time, at least not in the beginning, but you do need to put in some effort. So what does that actually look like? Here are some examples. Allow yourself to daydream while you're doing the dishes. Take a recent funny moment or an event from your life and fictionalize it. Exaggerate it, stretch it, make it enormous. Change what happened so that it's even more dramatic. If you find yourself waiting in a waiting room, or if you're out at lunch and your friend hasn't arrived yet, pull out your phone, open the Notes app, and then think of a topic, and then write 10 ideas about that topic. It could be 10 recipe ideas, 10 character names, 10 ways to open a novel, 10 opening sentences. It could be 10 ways to describe a sunny day. Whatever. The next time you read a news article, play the what if game. What if they weren't caught? What if that law was passed instead of this law? What if it wasn't an accident? When listening to music, use the mood or pull out a particular line, a particular lyric, and then use that as a story kernel, which you can then build a story up from. As adults, we don't usually engage in this type of imaginative play, but these exercises or similar exercises can really help limber up our otherwise rigid ways of thinking. To further improve your creativity, you must consume creative content. That means good books, uplifting and inspiring podcasts, whether they be fiction or nonfiction, and articles online. When we see what other people are creating and how they create it, we see what is possible for us. Finally, you must take the time to engage in creative practice. So you need to decide what your creative practice is going to look like and the amount of time you can reasonably dedicate to it. Your creative practice really only needs 3 things. Decide what your creative practice is going to be: writing, drawing, painting, how much time you can reasonably dedicate to it, and a reward system. For example, in the beginning, you might pick up a writing exercise or prompt book. You can then decide that 2 times a week, you're going to spend 30 minutes going through these exercises. And at the end of it, your reward is going to be a cup of tea, watching a YouTube video, or reading a few pages of a book. As time goes on and you become more confident and more comfortable, you might be more willing to change this creative practice and give it a little bit more time. You might decide that you're going to spend 1 hour every weekday before work working on your novel, and then your reward at the end of the week is going to be breakfast out with a writing buddy on Saturday morning. Improving your creativity, engaging with your imagination, and starting a creative practice can seem daunting if you've neglected this aspect of yourself for some time. And while our present culture has become accustomed to instantaneous results, there is no hack for creativity. The only thing that is required is time and effort. Now, maybe that isn't the sexiest way to end a YouTube video, but it is certainly the most honest. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Do you feel like you're disconnected from your creative practice or your creative self? Do you feel like you need to improve your imagination or your ability to think creatively? Please leave a comment below and tell me all about it, because I'd really like to know. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button, because it makes all the difference to a video's visibility. Or you can hit the like button and leave a comment, because that really helps too. If you'd like even more writing advice, you can head to taraeast.com and dive into the archives. While you're there, be sure to join my email newsletter, because when you do, I'll send you a free video training called the Follow-Through Formula: How to Complete a Long-Term Writing Project. Thanks so much for watching all the way to the end, guys. I so appreciate it. Stay safe, stay calm, and keep writing, and I'll see you again next week.